Hey, my name is Dan. I'm down 175 and off of 7,000 units of insulin and put my type 2 diabetes in remission. So I want to talk today about insulin resistance and what I eat to make sure that I stay where I'm at and don't start ballooning back up and getting back towards high sensitivity for insulin. So, when I was 473 pounds, I really was eating anything I wanted to eat. Like there was no boundaries. I was in corporate America and I was in a very stressful job, and I would just eat basically anything, and it didn't matter. Breakfast. Grabbing what are those called? The where you have the kind of the pancake and the egg and the bacon in between them. They're like little sandwiches. Lunch could be nachos, dinner could be pizza. Like it just, we just kind of went along. And because of all the stress of the job and everything else, I was just eating whatever. And I was noticing my weight going up and up and up. Now you have to understand something. I was on 7,000 units of insulin. So when it got to the point where the insulin couldn't push the into the cells anymore, it started storing on me as fat. And at 473 pounds, you can see how big I really got. And, I had to do something. So when I started coming off the insulin, then I started making a lot of different decisions. So one of the things I did is I started with intermittent fasting, and I fasted in a way that I would not tickle my insulin in my body. I didn't want my blood sugar to go up. I wanted to stay flat. So I did a lot of experimenting with that. I was doing, I started off doing 12-hour fasts. Then I started doing 40-hour fasts. I tried a 72-hour fast, but I would check my ketones along the way. And so I did two 40-hour fasts a week. I did one on the start of the week and at the end of the week, and then I did a 20-hour fast on Wednesday. Now, when I fasted, there's a lot of ways that you do water fasting. There's a lot of ways to do fasting. And what I did was I used bulletproof coffee in the morning. And how I came to do this was I did a lot of experimenting, right? And what I did was I watched my CGM to see what effect it had on my blood sugar. And I noticed when I had a bulletproof coffee, my blood sugar wouldn't move really at all. So I started doing a bulletproof coffee. So I'd have dinner on Sunday night, right, at dinner time. I would go all day Monday, and I would go to noon on Tuesday. That's 40 hours. And I would work out on Monday night. So I would get a workout in, but I'm running on ketones, so I had a lot of energy. And I didn't miss it. Now, on Mondays, I had a lot of conference calls. I had a lot of things going on. So I didn't mind the fasting on Mondays because it freed up my time. I didn't have to worry about lunch and this and this and that. And it just let me be so I could go and get all my work done and have all the meetings that I had with my upper management team. So that worked out well for me. I used bone broth at the start. Again, I checked my blood sugar, and bone broth didn't raise it up. I'd have a coffee with a splash of heavy cream. Again, I checked my blood sugar, and it didn't pump it up. So this was a tool that I used to help me get off the 7,000 units of insulin and to get down on that weight. It's a vicious circle you walk because it's hard to lose weight on insulin, but you need the insulin for your blood sugar to try to manage your blood sugar situation. So you got to kind of walk that fine line and then keep your A1C in line with it, right? So you have to check with your medical team. Like I worked hand in hand with my medical team. I let my A1C creep up a little bit because I started dropping my insulin to make it easier for me to do this. I wouldn't recommend that to everyone. I'm telling you what I did. Some of the other things I did, I completely changed my eating. On the days when I was eating, I ate twice a day, not 3 times a day. So I would always fast at least 12 hours a day. Again, I just got used to it, and to this day, that's how I still eat. So I would fast 12 hours a day, and then if I was going to have any carbs, I started going to 50 carbs, down to 40, to 30, to 20, and I did net carbs. And when I got down to 20, then I flipped over to total carbs. And what I would do is I would take the carbs I was having, and I try to have them earlier in the day. So in other words, at lunchtime, I'd have more carbs than I would have at dinner time. I would look at my plate. When I would have on my plate, I always had proteins, veggies, and things like this. I'd eat the protein and the fiber first, and then I would have whatever the carbs might be after that. but I was very conscious about the carbs. I wanted to have complex carbs versus simple carbs, right? I cut out the rice. I didn't want the rice because it would just spike my blood sugar. I tried to do things that would just keep my blood sugar as low as possible. We all know that your blood sugar is going to go up after you eat. That's just normal. So I wanted to have the best shot at keeping it from not spiking, but going up. That included a walk after I ate. Ate a lot of things like chicken, steak. I love tuna, salmon, all those kind of things. Vegetables, stay away from the starchy vegetables, right? I ate a lot of broccoli and cauliflower. I love that. I use butter when I cooked. I'd get the fats in. The fats will keep you full, and your body likes fats as well, right? So I would bring the fats up, I'd bring the protein up, and I'd dump the carbs down. And there's so many dishes you can make with that. And I had a lot of restaurants around my office, and once they understood how I was eating, because I was the boss, they all try to please me because we buy a lot of lunches for our staff and things like that. So the restaurants all got in the program with me, and that's another thing. If you've got restaurants around you, once they figure you out how you eat, they'll help you out. For example, salads. I had a Firehouse subs place around me, and obviously I wasn't going in and eating bread and things like that, but I get stuff done in a bowl, and they were very accommodating to me. They actually made up special salads for me and things like this. And again, I would just test it with my blood sugar. My blood sugar really dictated how I was eating. But as far as insulin resistance goes, I did all of this to make sure that I just stayed in line with this stuff, because it's so easy to get out of whack. And once you get out of whack, you've done all that work. Now you got to get it dialed back in to do it. So it's easier just to stay in line as you go. You know, I've developed an app, and in my app, it'll now, if you take a picture of your food, it'll rate your food as to how it will affect your blood sugar. You have to understand, I was doing all this without any of these apps or anything else, without GLP-1s. This was old school hardcore when I was doing this, you know. So I did it without any of that stuff. Now I've built an app that'll tell you, you can take a picture of your food, you can put your food in. I always tell people, plan out the next day. When you get in trouble is when you don't plan. So plan out your next day, but you can take a picture of a food, you can type a food into my app, and it's going to tell you what is the effect on your blood sugar of this food. And then you can make smart menus around that. And this thing is so valuable. I have a number of ladies in my coaching company that we help reduce their insulin resistance, and they rave about the fact they can now plan meals out by having the tools to do it. So the tools are super important when it comes to doing something, especially on your health. The more tools you have around you, the better the environment around you, the easier it is to get stuff handled and get you moving forward. So don't skip on the tools. I also built the Diabetes Army Wellness Academy, which has got courses on insulin resistance, how to shop properly, how to read food labels, how to eat at restaurants, all kinds of things when it comes to insulin resistance. I've got it inside of our academy. But I never had these tools. I developed them after where I'm at now because I didn't have them. Life would have been so much simpler to do it. So I went old school, protein, fiber, you know, got the veggies on the plate, and I was doing carbs. It'd be a complex carb. And that's what I really wanted to do to make sure I stayed, you know, on my journey to bust through my insulin resistance. Right now, in my coaching company, I look and I tell people, look, you're dealing with insulin resistance. Once we break through that, then you're going to start seeing the weight drop. You're going to start feeling healthier, better, more energy and everything else. So we track all of this, right? And you can see as people start breaking through their insulin resistance, I start getting text messages from people, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and they love the fact they can now properly plan their meals. So if you're gonna have the carbs, have them at lunchtime, right? Slow them down as you get into the later hours. You know, I would make sure I ate early. That was another thing. I wanted to eat, you know, I'm an early eater, so 5, 6 o'clock, that's it. I wasn't trying to do any 9, 10 o'clock meals. Get the meals in early so it gives me time to rest my body on that overnight fast. That's another big thing. So I hope this helps. If you want some help, just reach out. I'm happy to talk to you. I don't use bots, it's me hitting you back. But and if you know anybody that this would help, please share the video. Let's try to get as many people healthy as we can. I'm trying to create as much awareness as I can about type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance, and things like that. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see the app, if you want to see the academy, just hit me up. I'll hit you back myself.